What's your advice to a father or a mother in a situation where they are experiencing a prodigal son?
Prayer. I don't mean to simplify it or minimize it, but prayer.
I mean, you said it while we were talking too. Obviously, prayer.
Yeah.
And then just kind of letting them fail.
Yeah, but you have to let them know that they're loved, and sometimes love says no. We all know that. You have to, when they're younger, that's why it's so important that the scriptures say, raise up a child in the way that they should go. And when they grow old, they'll not depart from it. Because as a child sees this love and faith and respect that a mother and a father have for each other, and how they pray with each other and pray for the children and the faith in God, they grow up with that becomes a natural thing for them. Yeah. Now, some of us, have come to the Lord at a later age, and our children, really weren't exposed to that. And so you say, well, now what do I do? The horse is out of the barn. What do I do now? You start from right where you are. You begin to pray. You begin to share your faith with your children. And trust God.
Yeah.
You mean it's come to that? Yeah. You can say, look, you know what I was, and now this is what I am. That's what we talk about when we say born again. I'm a new creature. Oh yeah, but I knew you when. Right, but those days are over. And the thing is, you have to walk the walk and talk the talk, and you have to be consistent in what you do, and you'll be surprised. One day you'll get a phone call, and they'll say, Mom, Dad, this and this has happened. Could you pray for me? Believe me, And that'll be a great opening for you. Because God loves that child more than you do. And he always will. And he'll always be there to strengthen you and give you words of wisdom in ministering to that child. And there'll always be that child in your eyes, right? No matter how old they get.
The verse up here on the screen. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver with them. What are your thoughts on that verse?
Well, I have a full quiver. I got a quiver about that big, My bow ain't what it used to be, but the quiver is full, and that's a blessing. I am a blessed man. It says, children are a heritage from the Lord. Yeah. And it's a gift of God. I can't really take credit for it. I mean, half the time I had no idea what I was doing.
What do you think about like arrows in the hand of a warrior or children of one's youth?
It's like a child, is like an arrow. It's definitely got its sharp edges, and it's pulled back. And like you said, what did you say?
Well, I heard somebody talking about it once, and they said, like, imagine the archer pulling that arrow, and he keeps it close to his heart for some time before he lets it go, before he aims it and lets that thing go.
Yeah, so you pull the arrow, that child is close to your heart, and you try to aim it for the mark, and then you have to let it go. Because the arrow will never hit its mark unless you let it go.
Yeah.
That child will never become what God has intended for it unless you let it go. Sometimes we get in God's way, you know, in a lot of instances. And it's easy to do. And again, that's why it's important that you seek God in how to raise that child. And that you allow that flower to grow, you know, and to blossom according to God's will, you know. And so they are like arrows. You hold them close to your heart, and you have to let it go.
Yeah, and depending on where you aim it, it can either do really good or it can do a lot of damage too.
Yeah. If you've done your work, and like the archer, you know, would practice, and know where he was shooting. And we talk about the straight arrow, you know, make sure that arrow was straight and not crooked and everything, and it was ready for flight. I mean, I guess you could take off on a whole message, you know, about an arrow.
Let's not do that right now.
It would be interesting, though, but then you let it go. And the mark, yeah. And then you have to adjust for windage. Being an old artillery soldier, you know, the winds blow, and if you don't adjust for the wind blowing, you could point it at the mark, but forget that there's a strong wind blowing this way, and it'll miss it. And it's the winds of the world. Whew, isn't that good?
Yeah. So
that's good, man.
Rather than doing all this right now, maybe next time you teach a Bible study, you can teach on this passage.
Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the winds, see, the wind.
All right, give us a bit of advice to any young fathers here.
There's a line from the favorite movie of mine, and the line says, and it's really dumb, it says, "The ox is slow, but the earth is patient." It sounds profound, but it don't make any sense. But I just thought of that. I just kind of... My advice...
That has nothing
to do with it. It's just, I have this one artery, and I don't get a lot of oxygen to my brain, and I just kind of drift off once in a while. What was the question? Advice to a young father. Well,
I'm assuming it has something to do with patience from the quote. No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. No, advice to a young father, you know, don't be afraid of the future, you know. If you're a young father, obviously you have children. But you love your wife, you respect her, you let your children see it in your marriage, in your everyday relationship. You let them know that she is the love of your life, and this will give them a picture of what marriage really is as you pray together, as you discuss things together. Not that you'll never have arguments or discussions and things like that, but you let them see that they can be resolved in a equitable and in a Christian fashion, you know, And then you let your children know that you love them. And you love them more than anything. You know, that you would lay your life down for them. And there's no question about that. But that there are boundaries in the home. There are rules, you know, and there are consequences. And these are all good things, you know, that children have to learn. And sometimes because they don't learn them, they get off into all kinds of goofy, crazy things, you know. And boys are different than girls. That may come as a shock to some of you, but if you have boys and girls in your family, I mean, they're different, even at a young age. They don't think the same at all. Their interests, of course, are different, you know, and so you have to really seek God on how to love them, how to talk to them, how to minister to them, how to help them, because each one's needs will be different. I mean, all 7 of our children were different. Our oldest daughter was very, organized and everything, and she took care of business, and she turned out to be, a news anchor, a reporter, things like that, where everything was there. Our other daughter, Christia, was very creative, and the boys were a combination, and so you can't, even though I would say, well, Daryl, why did you do that? Craig didn't do that. Joshua, look at what you did. And your other brothers aren't doing that. And, that happens. But you have to realize that they're all different.
Don't compare them. Don't compare them.
Right. Because it's a study in futility and frustration, But each one is different, and I mean, we even tried dressing all you boys alike. It didn't help.
I've seen the pictures.
Remember those pictures? With the little.
I must have blocked it from my memory.
Little pudding bowl haircuts and little pinstripe suits. They're cute, miserable but cute.
Yeah.